What's up, everybody? I am Summer2068. I am bringing you another video, which is one I really should have recorded and done a month ago. I got very busy and I procrastinated a lot. So yeah, I've been meaning to actually talk about Tennessee's National Signing Day signing class. Again, I really forgot to do this a month ago, but better late than never, in a way. Maybe. Anyway, getting to the point. This was Tennessee's new head coach, Jeremy Pruitt's first signing class. So I wanted to give my insights on it, of just how I think this class ended up overall, and what my thoughts on all the kids we are going to have for our football team next year are going to be. But first off, I want to start out with our early enrollees. So these are the guys who are here on campus right now, and I am starting out with four-star wide receiver, Coffee County Central High School wide receiver from Manchester, Tennessee, Alontae Taylor. Now, in my opinion, Alontae is going to be one of those guys who is going to make an immediate impact for our team. We are still, in my opinion, a little shaky on depth at wide receiver. And when I say shaky on depth, I mean guys with, starting experience at wide receiver. So, with having Alontae in there, that is really going to help. And yet, this kid, he only really played quarterback in high school, and then a little bit of receiver. But from what I've seen, this kid is a playmaker. This kid is one of those freak natural athletes that you could even put him at safety or corner, and he'd be a phenomenal player in college. So I see Alontae is going to be a great fit into Tennessee's offense that first year, and I would not be shocked if he ends up really fighting for the starting slot receiver position, or if we ever run a 3-receiver set, throw in 3 wideouts or any more than just any amount of wideouts, I guarantee you I could see Alontae easily being out on that field. Yes, and I know we're running a pro-style offense, so we'll be getting a fullback eventually, but running more just your 2 wide receivers. But I truly believe that I will see Alontae Taylor quite a bit this year and hear his name called. Next up, I'm moving to Jackson, Tennessee native from Northside High School, 4-star defensive lineman Greg Emerson. Now this is a kid I can't wait to see. Greg, even though he came off an injury, it was in his senior year, he got it in the opening, out in Oregon is where he was at. But so, he really didn't get to finish out the whole opening, but this kid's got that natural ability where he can play both defensive tackle and defensive end. He's got the size and the skill set for both, but I think we want to use him more as a D-end, which is good, because I feel like we got a good set at D-tackle right now, where we've got a lot of guys that can play there, and Greg could really help out on that defensive end area and just add that extra depth that we need. And then I really see him as a good candidate for early playing time as well, just with him, already being on campus, getting in the college weight room to help get to what the good for this 3-4 system, the size that coaches are going to want him to play at, and it'll get him used to the speed already, at least how they're running practices. But yeah, Emerson is one of the in-state boys I was so happy we were able to obtain. So I can't wait to see what this kid does. And next up, we have on the list is 4-star, they said, weak side defensive end and outside linebacker. He is from California native. It was City College of San Francisco, a JUCO player, Jordan Allen. This kid I cannot wait to see. I've already seen this kid quite a bit. He is big. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He is a great size already for outside linebacker right there, to where, personally, I think he could be one of the 2 starting outside linebacker positions in our defense right there. And he's also the type of guy that if the coaches need him to go put his hand in the dirt and play at the end spot, he has the ability to do that. I think he's got enough talent to really help out our defensive unit, to where it's where we're going to need it at. With our coach being a good, strong defensive mind, I expect to see Jordan Allen just start being one of those players that we knew had that ability and is just going to, like, really kind of also be one of those guys that can blow a lot of people's, like, minds and be like, wow, I'm really glad we landed him. Now, on to the next kid, Cordova, Tennessee native, Cordova High School, Jerome Carvin, offensive tackle. I love this kid so much. Watching his highlight tape, he's got the good size on him, and I like his ability with blocking right there, you know. He was one of those kids who was always on our radar, but we necessarily weren't on his. Like him looking at us. Like, he considered us, but it wasn't as strong. When Pruitt comes in, he, like, just really just enjoyed Pruitt and committed to us on early signing period and signed with us on early signing day. And now he is also on campus. This kid is going to be a good need to the program. I could see him either redshirting or getting playing time, just based on, like, how, yes, right now our offensive line needs help and needs that depth, but at the same time, with a lot of the guys we have that have already been forced into playing time, you know, that could help Carvin by learning from these guys and seeing what happens, like, in the end. But either way, if I see him, like, you know, end up getting a starting nod, I won't complain. But if I see him redshirt, I won't complain either, because Carvin could be one of those guys that, yes, we will need him in the long run. For there, with some of the veteran guys on our O-line, like, getting closer to losing their eligibility, and we're about to lose one of them, we're going to need Carvin to really learn from all these guys. And that's what I love about all these all the kids who want to early enroll, because they want to start learning the college system quickly. I mean, like, I know everybody wishes they probably could, and some want to finish out their high school careers, but I know some of them are just like, this is what I feel like I need to do to get myself ahead. And I'm not saying that other players don't think of that, like, who don't, are, like, bad. It's just, you know, I've always just liked the idea of possibly early enrolling, especially, you know, for the kids, like, if they come from, like, smaller towns and they go to colleges, like, where there's, you know, maybe, like, 3-4 guys who can go to college, it can really get them around everybody, as opposed to, you know, some of your areas where you see in maybe about 5 high schools, 45 guys go off to college to play football or basketball or whatever sport. So that's why I'm like, with this, like, all these guys who are early enrolled as well. And yeah, I'm sorry, that was a little off topic. I apologize. But next up, in my opinion, now like I said, nothing against everybody in the class. I love every kid we signed. I love all these guys. But one of my favorites that we signed, Farragut High School, Knoxville, Tennessee native, 3-star tight end, Jacob Warren. One reason I also love him, because he also said, you know, he's grown up in Knoxville. He's always dreamt about playing for UT. I mean, his dad played here. So he's one of those legacy kids there. But the fact right now, this kid's like 6'6", 215. He has the frame on him. Like, I agree with the coaches. Looking at this kid, I bet by the end of his playing days here at UT, he could be a solid 250, 255. Maybe 260. So, you know, that's what I like about him. And, you know, for me, that kind of is going to remind me a lot of, like, Jason Witten, Ethan Wolf, that real big-bodied tight end that you know can do a lot for your program out there. Like, you know, if they let him play early, cool, but preferably I want him to redshirt and I said, I like how he's here early. He's starting to gain the weight, but I want to see him at about a good 240 for him. Like, I think for a good first time, especially, you know, when you get to SEC play, having to help block some of those, like, sometimes if they have to help hold off an end or, like, you know, have the linebacker coming at them, I want to see him at a good, like, around, like I said, 240. I think that would be a good size for him when he, like, takes his first snap in a game. But it's like, whatever, and I really trust the coaches. I really trust our new strength coach. I know he will get Jacob ready to play. And this kid could be one of our tight ends that, everybody could potentially end up talking about in the SEC. And I would love to see that happen. And now, the next player, another longtime UT fan who's always dreamt of playing for us, Gibbs High School, Corrigan, Tennessee native, Ollie Lane, an offensive lineman. And again, thing I like about this kid, like he says, he's always dreamt of playing for UT, and he has constantly worked for it. This kid is primarily a guard, which is good because we tend to have a lot of tackles that can kick into guard, but, having a kid who's already a true guard is going to help. And, if they have to kick this kid into center, I wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't be like, against giving him a shot there. I really think with, Ollie, it's the same as Carvin, He could play early. He could redshirt. It's just going to really depend on what happens, through the spring and into fall camp. But, and no matter what the coaches do, I'll trust their judgment. But, if, like I said, I'm even one of those guys, if I can see about 70% of the signing class redshirt to have them, I like that. Because especially that when it shows you have all that depth. I know some years you can't, and you have to play 90% of your signing class because you got no depth. But when you do, if you can redshirt majority of them, good. That's the way you can have some of these kids for an extra year at that point. So no matter what they do with Ollie, I really trust the new line coach friend to get him ready. Next up, I will go ahead and say this. This is a kid who I think will easily be the starter at his position come day one for us. Paxton Brooks, Airport High School from West Columbia, South Carolina, coming in as our punter. With Tennessee, just lost their starting punter, Trevor Daniels. So with Paxton coming in, he's already on campus. He's already working with the coaches. He's already getting to work with the special teams coach and work on his punting in college. It won't shock me what this kid can do. I mean, I've watched him at the, I think he was at the Under Armour game. Yeah, no, it was the Under Armour he was at. And I saw, he booted some punts really well. He's been able to where, I really can't wait to see what he can do. But I really do think this is a kid who is going to be kind of like one of those day one starters at his position, especially where, like I said, we have right now. But the opening could go for anybody for the punters. But Paxton, I would love to see what he can would really be able to do on day one when Tennessee takes on West Virginia in Charlotte, North Carolina for the very first game of the season. But yeah, like I said, with him, I'm glad he's here. So that's a way it can let every fan see what our new punter is capable of doing. And I have to say this. He does have a lot of big shoes to fill after the kind of season Trevor Daniels has put off. But I got faith in this kid. I really do. Because Tennessee has typically pulled off some very strong punters. And I know it's going to sound biased because I am a UT fan, but I've just looked at some of the guys we've had in the past and the success they've had. For us, the Colquitt, Dustin and Britton Colquitt, who are both still in the NFL, we're in NFL. I think both are still with their respective teams in the NFL right now that they were with last season. So, it's just seeing the amount of punters Tennessee has sent to the NFL and has on rosters. That's why I feel I trust what we can do with this kid. Next up, to the guys who did not early enroll, but will enroll come June. First off, this kid is also one of my other favorite signees. Probably one of my favorite defensive signees. Outside linebacker, Colquitt County High School in Moultrie, Georgia. 4-star J.J. Peterson. Thing I love about this kid, he was always a strong Bama lean. But the day they said Pruitt comes, he's like, you know what? I'm feeling Tennessee a little bit. He's like, I want to talk to that staff now because he's like, Pruitt was going to be my defensive coordinator, and I want to see what he wants to do at Tennessee. And when we got Kevin Shear, Georgia's linebackers coach, Shear was his main recruiter at Georgia, while Pruitt was like his main recruiter was pretty much his main recruiter at Bama. We had two of them, so we were able to end up landing Peterson. And yes, everybody, it almost seemed like Bama potentially could have sniped him away in the end, but we held on to him. And I did discuss this with one of my friends. We both feel like out of everybody that easily signed from your main offensive and defensive positions, we really feel like Peterson is a day one starter at linebacker. He's got the size, he's got the speed out there. With this new 3-4 system, I do agree with Pruitt. He could play any four linebacker spots that we have. He's got that much ability and not that much talent under him to do it. And I cannot wait to see Peterson help our defense and just shine out there and show everybody that, we got a guy that is ready to come in and help lead our defense to greatness again. Now, the next signee is Nashville Christian School, Nashville, Tennessee native, 4-star defensive tackle, Brant Wallace. Again, in-state boys, I love getting. For me, if my school can pull in about 8 or 9 in-state boys a year, I'm happy. But if we see our state maybe only have 2 or 3 really good guys that'll fit in for us, I'd rather take those 2 or 3 and find kids from the other states that can. But no matter what, I always even agree with the coaches when they say you got to start in Tennessee. You got to start in your state, shut the gates pretty much, and lock it down to show you can't intrude on us. Lawless could be, he's got a lot of upside to him. He's an athlete because right now he's playing basketball for his high school and at a defensive tackle. Sometimes some people wouldn't picture that, but I just think he's got that natural athletic ability in him to where he could play any sport, really. But Lawless, he's going to be one of those guys, we're going to look at in 4, even if he redshirts, 5 years down the line, be like, I'm really glad he stayed with us and we snagged him. Because this kid has a good upside to him. I want to see him add, a little bit of weight, but like I said, that's everybody when they come up from the high school level to college will add that weight. Because with the 3-4, we need our D tackles to be a little bit bigger and our ends to bulk up too. But yeah, no, I'm ready to see what Lawless can do and show he's an proud in-state boy to represent the state of Tennessee. I'm very sorry for the cough. It's slight allergy season. Next up, a kid who I was not expecting us to sign during the early signing period. From Arizona Western College, tight end, Dominic Wood-Anderson. 4-star tight end. I really thought he was going to Bama. I really did. And then, when I saw we land him, I'm like, oh, wow. I like that. Because, we lost the starting tight end out of Ethan Wolf. And we also lost Jakob Johnson, who was the backup reserve tight end right behind Ethan. That would help out a lot as well. So right now we don't have a lot of super deep playing experience at tight end. So Wood-Anderson, I think, is one of those guys who could really have a good shot of stepping in immediately. Great size, 6'5", 245, what they have him listed at on the according to 24/7. So I just can't wait to see what he can do. And with the way we were able to kind of really sway him from Alabama and flip him, I like. So, seeing what this kid can do, especially now, like I said, with the low depth we have there at tight end, it's going to be a pretty good thing to see. And just, have so we know there is somebody that could really step in and help out immediately. And next up is another Tennessee boy, but took his playing career at first to Independence Community College in Kansas, defensive lineman Emmett Guden. And I'm very sorry if I accidentally say a name wrong. I apologize. It happens to me quite a bit. I mean, nothing. I know I probably should have rehearsed some of the names, but I am very sorry if I didn't. But yeah, this kid, I remember, it was originally like he committed to us in high school, but then decommitted. Then it was looking like Mississippi State and Arkansas were going to get him. But then he went to JUCO, and now he actually came back to us, which was a good add, especially since, we're going to need a lot of linemen. This 3-4 system, we're going to need a lot of guys we can rotate in and out, for sure. I want us to see us at that point to where we have, about 3 to 4 deep at each spot. So I want to see about 3, pretty much 6 ends ready to go, and about 4 tackles easily ready to go from when we're in the 3-4 spot. So yeah, that would be what I think would be awesome to see. But yeah, I just can't wait to get this kid here and just let him show these coaches and what he can do, what he learned from the junior college he was at. So it's going to be good to get this kid here and just, like I said, another in-state boy, seeing him in orange. And now the next kid, another in-state boy, Cordova High School, teammates with Jerome Carvin, running back Jeremy Banks. Now, this kid, I think, is going to be one of those. I think he's going to be a lot kind of like that, John Kelly. I'm just going to run through you a little bit. He's 6'2", 215. He's taller than what they had John Kelly listed at here. But I think this kid is going to end up being one of those kind of running backs hey, I'm just going to run right through you because I have that ability too. And I'm not going to take back down from it. So I can't wait to see what we do with him, If we redshirt him, I won't complain because we're returning a good chunk of running backs, and pretty much all of them, Ty Chandler, Carlin Fields and me, Trey Coleman, and Tim Jordan, all had playing time this season, some limited more than the others. But I mean, still with 4 guys with the game experience, if we let Banks play though, so we have 5 guys that are technically game ready, I'm happy with that. Because looking at these guys, we got some speedy running backs who have the ability to break out for 60 yards on a play. And then we also got some of these other guys who are going to be I can still break out 30 yards and run through about 4 or 5 people as well. So that's going to be good, keep these guys really fresh and switch them around. So I really just can't wait to see what Banks can do for us. Next up, an offensive lineman who came to us from a junior college, from Arizona Western College, Jameer Johnson. This is a kid who I really think is going to help our O-line out immediately. Just because, we got, like I said, we had so many injuries on O-line last year. But just seeing what this kid could potentially do is going to be good. And I just want to see him really develop into that type of lineman that is really going to help us. I trust this coaching staff to do it. I can't wait till he gets here in June. And he's kind of also one of those who it won't shock me that if he ends up getting a starting nod on day 1. It won't. So yeah, it's just going to be a matter of time to see what the coaches have for him. Now, I want to talk about the quarterback we signed from William S. Hart Senior High School, Newhall, California, JT Shrout. Now, in my opinion, I know JT will redshirt because with the graduate transfer quarterback Keller Christ we added coming in, having game experience, and Garantano and McBride having game experience, because, we kind of had to throw both of them in at one point. So I really think, with JT just coming in, he'll really want to get into that weight room first in redshirt. So, potentially then he has the chance to really battle and play 4 solid years, for sure. Because I really do feel like Christ could come in and take over as the starter, or with, like I said, the graduate transfer. And, especially since Christ has that experience, like kind of with a little bit of a pro style stuff he's done with Stanford, I just can't wait to see what they're all going to do. I know I'm just glad now we're having 4 scholarship quarterbacks in that quarterback room just for that depth right there. Because, like they say, you never know when an injury is going to happen. And you want to see depth for sure at every position. You don't want to be into one of those situations where you're like, now who do we play? So that's why I like with the 2 quarterbacks we have in. So it's going to be interesting to see what Shrout does in the long run. It's like I said, it's all the stuff only time will tell. Next up, another Nashville, Tennessee native from Innsworth High School, Tanner Antonutti. Tanner, I am very sorry if I botched your name. My bad. But, yeah, no. And the thing I like about Tanner is, he also has played a little bit of tight end in high school. So, I was like, I thought about it. Maybe the coaches could work something in to where he kind of does a little bit of both. Starting out. 6'5", like 273, as a good, I was like, maybe you could see a little bit, like, have him be a good set for that blocker, but on those, rare occasions, line him up in a tight end spot, if they want to, and they think that could work. I don't see anything wrong with it, because I'm just like, get somebody his size, even if it's just like a quick, thing to get, him 5-yard pickup, I'm like, it could work, like I said, when you got somebody his size right there, it's going to take, a linebacker or 2 to bring him down, or even one sometimes, or even a lot of people. So, I'm like, you never know what they could do with this kid, because he's got I think has a lot of upside, right, to the team, and could really fit in at any spot. But I really think in the long run, lineman is going to be his true position, and I do agree with them, like saying they'll want to use him as a lineman in the true position. So I just can't wait to see what he can do. Now I'm going to talk about John Mincy, a defensive end out of Georgia that we got on signing day. He committed to us. Mincy is a true defensive end for sure. He plays strong side defensive end. And I can't wait to see what this kid can do. Definitely I want to see him bulk up a little bit. But like I said, that's with every player. But I can't wait to see what he's going to end up doing in the end. I didn't get to watch his highlight tape as much. Because for the longest time, I always felt like, he was going to South Carolina. Because that's where it was really looking like. But I was so happy when I learned, hey, we got another guy on the D-line coming in. That's going to be great for us. Because we need it. That was my whole thing. I was starting to get a little nervous at certain points with some positions. But, when I saw him, I kind of had a sigh of relief. Like, okay, good. The coach has got one. Got another. And we filled up, the amount of that we kind of really need, to where he's going to be a good player. And I could almost see him used in that hybrid role, kind of, to where he can drop back into coverage like a linebacker, but also play up in the dirt. But, I know they'll probably just want to use him more at true end, but in the end, who knows? I even could be wrong. They could use him at that hybrid a lot, too. But I just can't wait to see what this kid, get him here and see how he adjusts to the college system. But that's with everybody. I want to see how they all can adjust. And next up, a kid I was actually did not really hear about a lot during the recruiting, because he was originally a baseball signee for Kentucky. But now, Tucker, Georgia native, Tucker High School safety, Trevon Flowers. He ended up then getting out of his letter to play baseball at Kentucky and switched to football. And we ended up landing a defensive back, a needed position. We graduated 3 of our guys, and we lost 1 early to the draft. So we had, with 4 guys down at defensive back, I was like, to me, I kind of felt like that was one of our needed positions. But at the same time, I didn't really know because we had a chunk in reserve. But at the same time, I was like, kind of did need a few just because I'm always one who's like, if you lose 3 wide receivers, I'd love to try to see you bring in 3 wide receivers just, to replace that depth so you're not down any guys. So, Trevon, has got a lot of upside. He's got that raw talent, They said senior year was his first year playing football since, I think, middle school. And then coaches saw potential, and they're like, he's got that, talent right there that we could really develop. So, I can't wait to see what Flowers does for us. I could see him even maybe playing over at corner or safety. At both. And it's just, we'll see what happens when he gets here. Now, the next kid I want to talk about flew under the radar. I watched his highlight tape. I saw this kid's stats. I'm kind of shocked he flew under the radar. Kort Garland. Now, this kid, in 2 years of high school, like on varsity, I think is what they said. When I saw his stats, I just kind of looked. I was like, how did that fly under the radar for so long? And it's just like, now seeing it's like what he can do for us. Now, like they always have that term, diamond in the rough. I truly think this kid is going to be that diamond in the rough player for us. I really think it. We're going to find that guy that a lot of people looked at and be like, I don't think so. And then, when he gets with our staff, it's going to make all the other coaches be like, well, crap. We should not have passed on him because now look what he's doing that he got to college. It's kind of like one of those chip on their shoulder guys. It's like, hey, I'm really going to go show everybody who passed on me that I can outwork anybody. So Garland, I think, is going to be a really good candidate for a potential redshirt his freshman year, or maybe not, like I said. But I still think he possibly will, and then let him really develop into the type of player that these coaches want him to be. Next up, we got IMG Academy defensive lineman, Kingston Harris. Kingston is one of those guys I can't wait to see. IMG Academy has always been known for its athletes. And when I looked at their roster, like the amount of linemen he was with to still get the stats that he did, I was like, I like this kid. I'm ready to see, what this kid could do for our program. Especially, it's like if he got to that starting role, or when he could, and be like, it's my time now. So, instead, because there was a lot of guys that IMG had that were really up there, and it's like, okay, now it's not like to throw him into this system. I really think this is kind of one of those kids who kind of flew under the radar just because some of the guys he was behind on depth charts, but he still had all that talent to I really still think to go almost anywhere and play. So I really can't wait to see what this kid can do. And now, one kid I'm ready to talk about, probably, again, in my top 4 favorite signees. I have a lot of favorites. I am very sorry. But this kid, I think, might have a chance at making a small impact his freshman year. But if not, by his, junior year, this is going to be one of those kids a lot of schools are going to be like, great. This is going to be one of those like how they always say, you sometimes sign those guys that are going to be immediate players, and then there's some that are really going to help you out in the long run. Cedric Tillman, Bishop Gorman, Las Vegas, Nevada, wide receiver, I think is going to be one of those guys that could be Tennessee's shining star at wide receiver by his last few years of playing time. Coming in at 6'3", 205 pounds, I think he's already got some good size on him. Maybe get him around 210, 215 college size. I think could be good for 6'3". I could be off though. But, just seeing, because I think they said it was on 30 catches, almost 800 yards, or right around that. Geez. This was really another kind of one of those kids that kind of flew under the radar of Power 5. And Bishop Gorman is another one of those schools that usually plays against all those top talented high schools like IMG Academy. They've gone out to California to play some of the top California schools, to Texas. So, in seeing what this kid could do, I'm like, I can't wait. This is going to be one of those wide receivers that I think, could play, at the slot or the main receiver spot too. So, it's going to be pretty cool to see what Tillman can do for us. I'm really glad we were able to end up getting him, because wide receiver room, now seeing how much more depth we're having in it, is going to look good for us. Just so we can have, that constant rotation as well, to where, but I would love to see, one of our receivers get an 1,000-yard receiving season. But if they don't, if I can constantly see, about 6, 7 of our receivers having about at least maybe 300-400 yards receiving each in the season, having it spread out that much, yeah, that would be something really cool. Even go 500. My whole brain with all this math, but trying to think about how much the quarterback would be throwing. But yeah, no, Tillman is going to be one of those guys who I cannot wait to see what he does. I really think this is another true diamond in the rough player that Tennessee got, and I'm ready for him. And lastly, the two blue shirt candidates that UT was able to get. One is from New Orleans, Louisiana. The other was from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Both are defensive backs. We got Joseph Norwood and Brandon Davis. I can't wait. These guys, I can't wait to see what they do. Yeah, they've got, in my opinion, both. One of them has a little bit more of that raw talent than the other. But, I think both have a lot of upside to them, to where they have that good chance to, once they get into college weight room, to get to that true college defensive back size. And really, if our coaches trust these guys enough to give them the chance, then I do. Especially, where our defensive backs, this helps add that little extra competition into the room. And, I mean, especially, like I said, a kid out of Louisiana, just typically you see sometimes the LSU's going at LSU going after those guys, trying to keep their guys at home, but us being able to snag one of them away, even if they don't have a lot of the big schools offering them, but still to see those kids from some of those states that typically favor their in-state schools coming to us, I'm happy. And that's why I also like that Norwood. He's a Chattanooga native, in-state boy, can really come put on a show for his state and show him that, hey, look, I'm a Tennessee boy. I'm going to show you what I've got. And I'm literally ready to. So, these are two guys, like I said, they're blue shirt candidates, so they won't be able to sign, I think they signed their scholarship at the start of fall camp, but they're still able to enroll. We'll be able to still enroll in the summer, but their scholarships will count towards next year's signing class. But I can't wait to see what Pruitt and the whole staff does with these guys. And, it's getting me so much more ready for football season. With Tennessee kicking off, and like I said, Charlotte, North Carolina against West Virginia, first game of the season. I know I'm going to be there. I can't wait for it. But, yeah, so that is my signing day breakdown video. I know it's a long one. I am very sorry. It's just recruiting is my passion, so this is one thing I literally probably could record a 3-hour video for and be fine of talking about it, but I know everybody else would hate it. But I just want to thank everybody so much who took the time to actually watch this, if you did, or even if you watched it in pieces. Again, I appreciate it. But thank you everybody so much. Please remember to hit the like button below, subscribe if you haven't, and also you can follow me on all my socials where I talk about we'll talk about sports a lot on there a bit, and then also feel free to come join my YouNow streams, and now my Rize, which is the same username as my YouNow. I will put them all down below if I do. If not, yeah, I think they should be on my profile, like in my description of my profile. But again, thank everybody for watching. I hope everybody has a great, yeah, sorry, I was about to say I hope everybody has a great day, but I mean, yeah, I still do, or night, for whenever this, and yeah. So again, I will try to be back with another video soon, but again, thank you everybody, and I hope everybody stays awesome.